Twitter sent out, get our bot in here, and get the Discord posted. So, hello everyone, this is Chris Ingerson, and it is January 31st, and this is the January 31st TextQuest Devstream. So, today we are going to be continuing our work on loading screen animations. Specifically, we're going to be finishing up our sewer to plains level transition. And then we're going to be moving on to the first loading screen, which is probably going to be a little bit more elaborate. And actually, once we finish the initial loading screen, which is going to be shown when you start a new game, we will probably come back to this loading screen and make some adjustments, just because of how I want to structure what I would call the chapter loading screens. Because the game is basically broken up into three main segments. The prologue, which is the first two levels, the castle and the sewer. The overworld, which is the overworld levels, the plains, cabin, canyon, woods, and grove areas. And then the underground section, which is comprised of things like the labyrinth, the magma river, the Terralacus, and all that stuff. So since there are those kind of nice, clean three chapters in the game, I would like to have sort of special loading screens for each chapter. But we'll see how the first one turns out first before I make that decision. It's also just a nice way for me to break up content, I feel. So let's go ahead and open up our existing loading menu. We're going to turn on our canvas group here. So the thing that we want to do for this script is we need to apply a positional offset for our initial scaling, because if it's centered perfectly like you see here, you'll notice that we are getting some hiccups and burps. We're getting some visible lettering, and we don't actually want that. We want it to be kind of off-center to start. So it's probably going to be something like, oh boy, it's going to be pretty big, isn't it? I'm guessing like negative 500 at least. Yep, let's go to 6. Okay, so negative 700 by, ooh, you know what? I didn't think about this, but it might be impossible for me to have a good positive. No, it should be fine. Let's go 500. Yeah, that works. Okay, so we basically want to go from negative 700, 500 to 0, 0 over the course of our scaling. So I'm going to go ahead and come back over here. So we have our scale duration. Where's my vector 2? Here we are. So we're going to go ahead and say underneath scale range, we'll say serialized field. Let's tooltip this so that we don't forget what this does. Let's tooltip that so we don't forget what that does. We're going to say private vector 2 scale position. Oh, I guess I should do scale start position. Start position is equal to new vector 2 is negative 700 by 500, I believe. Let's do that. And this is going to be range to scale the hero 2. Terrible. Wow, that's a terrible description. Range to scale the hero 2. Yeah, that's fine, I guess. And it's going to be values. Well, here about this. Position to of the hero when scaling starts. We'll go ahead and copy this. We'll say scale end position. We'll say ends, and this is just going to be a basic vector 2 dot 0. All right. So what we're going to do is we're just going to lerp between these two positions as we scale. Pretty straightforward there. We don't really need to do much. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this section of code. We don't really need it. Okay. So we're going to have a scale lerp, and we're going to say, in addition to local scale, we're going to say hero parent dot local position, which I guess actually is going to be anchored position is equal to vector 2.lerp from scale start position to scale end position based off of, I'm just going to make it an even scale lerp for now, so it's going to be linear. We're not going to worry about curving. I don't think we really need to worry about the curve for our position data, but this should work. Okay. So let's go ahead and set this back to 0. We have these values. I think we're good, so I'm just going to go ahead and apply. Well, I will once it compiles. Any day now, which I should probably check. Okay, making sure. I really should wire up my actual good mic instead of talking into my headset. That would probably knock out a few audio issues that I know I have, but we'll see. That's a discussion for me to have off the air, obviously. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and say apply here. Cool. Let's go ahead and jump into our sewer level again. Sewers. And I'm pretty confident that was kind of like the last big thing that we needed to do. There are still some misgivings that I have about the rotation for the hero, but this should more or less give us a pretty nice effect. And I also am a little concerned because of... So I'm also a little concerned just because I have... I don't really have a good spot for flavor text to be shown on the transition screen yet. Say turn left. But if it's a chapter loading screen, I might not worry about that, because I might have chapter loading screens not show any text. But that's a big might. I'm not really comfortable doing that. But we'll see. Okay, so we have that. Wow. Oh, that's the substance. That makes sense. That's also amazing. Okay, so yeah, we definitely need to apply a curve to that because it is really hugging that top left. So yeah, we're gonna have to drive that curve probably along a similar curve, honestly, where it's pretty logarithmic. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and turn that off. We also need to do one other thing, which is I need to reference my my substance and make sure that it can be rebuilt. So we're gonna go ahead and I will, I guess, come down to here. So I'm going to try evaluating just along the scale curve, by the way, here. So we're just going to basically duplicate this and see how that works. Also, hello Fables Games. Welcome back. How you doing tonight? Also, thank you. So once we have, let's go ahead and I'm going to put it here, I guess. So I'm going to say serialize field, tooltip, blah, blah, blah. Private procedural material. And we're going to call this background mat. Okay. And we're just going to say material used on the... You know what? No, never mind. That wouldn't really work out very well. As I say, I could probably achieve the same result that I'm doing for my background with a world canvas that's parented underneath this one, but no, because then I would have to... No, I don't want to do that. That would complicate things a lot. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and say, make material used on the background magic. Okay. I'm good. We're going to bed shortly, but I saw your Discord alert. You're going live. Aha! Well, thank you for stopping by. Is it? I always forget. Is the UK 5 hours ahead of Eastern Time, US, or is it 6? You said it was 1 o'clock there last time, and that was around 8, if I remember correctly. So I guess I'd put it at 5. Um, I always forget exactly how wide the oceans are in terms of time zones, because I'm pretty sure it's different for both of them. Then again, after you get far enough west, you just wrap around to the east. So, okay. So we have our background mat, and what I'm going to do here is on start minigame, I'm just going to go ahead and say if substance manager dot oh right, hold on. It's actually going to be if game manager dot get substance manager dot building materials. I guess I can just say build materials. I'm just going to pass in null. Oh. I have two different ones which do hilariously the same thing. So I'm just going to go ahead and say, what did I call it, magic, or did I call it background mat? There we go. I'm going to pass that in there. Why are you mad? Oh, right, sorry. I was going to originally do a check to see if I could, let's see. I thought I had a materials list. That cache materials, there we go. So we're going to go ahead and grab this. So I'm just going to copy that, get rid of this, and we're just going to say if not this, which I know is not correct yet, but I will fix that in a second. Dot contains key, and that's going to be our background mat. So if the cached materials are a list of procedural materials that have been built already and are still loaded in memory. So if this list contains this material already, there's no reason to rebuild it. Otherwise, I will go ahead and rebuild it. Probably that is not going to be sufficient. I will probably bake out that material, honestly, and just make it like a low res texture, just to have it not require building to happen. But we'll see. Again, if worst comes to worst, I can always fudge it by having animations on labels to have that work. And I might end up doing that instead, just to kind of make things easier on myself, but we'll see. So for now, I'm just going to go ahead and take this approach. So that should take care of our blue boxing that we were seeing in the background. And I believe that we're also... Nope, I can't rotate the camera, so I'm going to have to... Well, no. Well, no. I'm just kind of thinking through how I want to make the background keep twirling, but I think we might be fine. Okay, so let's go ahead and see what this looks like. That should give us a curve for the position to lerp around, or to evaluate along, which means that we should get something closer in line with our scaling where we won't have it like hover off to the top left for a long time. It'll kind of quickly come into the center area, hopefully. And from there, we will also have our substance build, which I think will be fine, and we should be able to see that live to see how long that lasts. Hopefully it won't take too long, but we'll see. Okay, oh, and before I forget, we're going to be doing coding, and I'm going to say art today. Alright, so that is compiled. Let's go ahead and move this over a little bit, and let's hit save and hit play. So, let's see. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and say SOS, no clip. say turn left. It's brilliant. What's brilliant? What did I say? Sorry, I was kind of like rambling to myself a little bit there. Rotate. Talking about using just labels instead of rotating the camera and all that. So let's go ahead and say touch. Oh yeah, the labels. Oh man, what the heck? It should not take this long for it to build. Ooh, that is all kinds of problematic. Well, I mean, at least... So this is pretty good. I do like this rotation now. Like, it centers pretty quickly, which is good. I still don't like the after image effect. Like, it just looks like it's kind of weirdly sitting there. Maybe I need to decrease the alpha on those heavily. Let's collapse that. Let's see here. So we want to go to UI, loading container, load. Yeah, I have all kinds of labels for my guy. So I think I have things like, I have one for spoilers, I have one for music. Well, miscellaneous is M. Music, I believe, is L here. I think I have one more. What am I missing? Oh, design. So I have that many. Usually I don't have all of them at once, so... Okay, but I use that to just kind of give a little indicator of what I'm currently working on at a given time. Yeah, that is one of the issues. They're stacking alpha, so it's not like it's not a clean mask really. I could try to get around that, but it would require really weird solutions. And then the other problem is that it's like since the topmost label right here is supposed to be the actual body. My idea was to make the after images have low alpha, but the problem is because of how alpha works, it just kind of like if we zoom in here, it looks like my hero is on top of them, even though it's actually below them. So it looks weird because it seems like my label or my hero isn't falling into the screen and having after images come up towards the camera. It looks like he has after images beneath him and he's falling on top of them, which is a bit odd. Um, so I might not really be able to work with this properly. I would probably have to do some sort of post-processing effect, I bet. So I'm going to try to tank this down to like 100 for our alpha on that. I'm going to take this down to 25, just to make it really noticeable. Now, that still is too much for this one. Let's bring that down to 50 even. And, that's better a little bit. But yeah, like you pointed out, you can see that the alphas are kind of like on top of one another, which is not really that great. Makes it look a little sloppy. But I also just feel like it doesn't really give off the impression that it's actually rotating. Oh, and I know why it didn't build the substance. It's because I did not select the substance. So this is going to be our magic, which I believe is... I don't know. It's one of these. So I'm going to go to substance, intro, castle, and magic wall, I believe, is what we want. So let's go ahead and put you in there. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and save that. Try that again. I would like to know what it looks like without having built the substance already. I want to know if it will generate fast or not. If it generates fine on my computer, it's probably fine because it's only one substance. If it generates slowly, that's not great. And that means I will find a roundabout way of doing it. So it's... Oops, rotate left. Rotate. Yeah, I think my problem with it is it just doesn't feel like the character is or like the hero is falling into the screen quite yet. Like the scaling really sells that and the positioning really sells that. It's just that the look of it doesn't quite do what I want, I feel. Okay. Let's touch this. Hooray! So that was really fast actually, which is probably good enough. Um okay. I do like this. This is looking pretty good. I do think if I lower the alpha on the labels a little bit, that will be okay. Um, but aside from that, I'm pretty confident that this is a really good like spot for this particular loading animation to leave to be done with. Um, like I said, the only other thing I could really think of doing is having instead of this say magic in the background, having this be the level description kind of scrolling by, which would be really cool. Don't get me wrong, but that would also be very complicated and it would look very rough. It'd be hard to read it, so that's not particularly great. But I do like this. I think this looks pretty cool. I like the vortex that we get. I like that our hero spirals into it, and I like that they're spiraling in the same direction. That gives it a very nice flow. Um, okay, so I'm going to go ahead and we're gonna stop playing. I am going to grab my prefab here. I'm gonna grab our after images here. We're gonna bring this all the way down to I believe we said 50 and 0.25 or not 0.25, 25 for this, just to make those after images a little more faint, and then I think we're good with that. All right, so that is our sewer to plains animation, which will only play once in the entire game, so that's good at least. Um, oh man, I just realized that. So having chapter loading screens is that's gonna really complicate things. Shoot. Well, no, it's fine. So having a chapter loading screen is fine for the first two chapters, but the third chapter complicates things because you can go back and forth between that point multiple times, and I would prefer not to show you that same one every time. But then again, maybe not. Maybe it's okay. So, um, all right. So let's go ahead and I'm gonna jump over to my UI scene. And we are going to start on the next animation, which is our new game animation. So this is our sewer planes. Let's go ahead and we're done with that. So I think we're good. I don't think we need anything else in here, so I'm going to go ahead and just, instead of deleting it, I'm just going to go ahead and say loading animation, new game. We're just going to get rid of these things. We want the canvas group. We're going to get rid of this. We're going to select this, and I'm going to do a whole new thing. So we're going to go ahead and say create folder. So instead of being the sewer, this is going to be, I guess, just called new game. Okay, let's go ahead and say create folder prefabs. And before I do anything else, I am going to go ahead and just drag this in so I don't accidentally make it or apply changes to it. That would be terrible. I'm going to go ahead and say create folder scripts. Okay, create C# script, and I'm just going to call this new game loading animation. I guess that will pretty much be it. Okay. So for the new game loading animation, this is going to be interesting because I kind of wanted it to You know what? I guess it's going to be similar to our plains to canyon loading screen in the sense that it's going to feature the hero basically going in a horizontal position, like moving horizontally on a bridge was the original idea. And there's going to be the castle in the background. I just wanted to kind of have a nice. Would that be a good idea? Oof. Bridges complicate things a lot more than our pathways did. Ooh. This is going to be interesting. Uh, well, thank you for the cheer, Fables. Need to head off now. Enjoy the rest of your stream. All right. Thanks for stopping by. Hope to see you again. Be sure to catch some good sleep. Talk to you later. All right. So for this, so there were two options that I had when I was thinking this through. I'm going to go ahead and pull up. So I'm going to look for Zeldo. We'll say title screen or screamin' screen. So I was kind of thinking something like how Legend of Zelda did uh, their setup. But they're also it might be better for like Legend of Zelda 2, which I guess is just called Zelda 2, honestly, where we have this like sword in the stone type deal where it's on a cliffside. I was kind of leaning towards something like that, just because it's pretty visually interesting. And basically, I wanted to have this more vertical pan up kind of, which actually, you know what? That might be a good enough way to make it interesting. Because basically, what I want to do is when you finish the loading screen, it's basically going to have the castle coming into view as you fade out. See you later, man. So I wanted to have the castle in view in the background, um, and just have the hero be walking kind of along a bridge. Um, and doing that would it really comes down to how much detail I want to show, because I would like to keep it simple. These are ASCII art animations after all, and everything that we've done so far has been pretty basic, justifiably. The castle complicates things a little bit because it's not a basic geographical feature like a mountain in the background, or trees or anything like that. So it does. What I'm getting at is the castle does not have a distinct silhouette that necessarily screams castle, so it's a little bit harder for me to design it. Because again, for ASCII art to work, you have to be able to really recognize the shape of an object, and that's kind of tough to do with a castle. Um, so, well, you know what? Let's just kind of start on this and see what ends up happening. Let's freeform it. Okay, so we have our root. We have our new game. I will go ahead and grab this. This is our loading animation. I'm just going to put that right here. Let's go ahead and open that up. Text quest. This is a loading animation. Loading screen animation. Right. Cleanup. Which I know isn't going to do anything right now. That's all fine. Okay. So we're going to need a couple of things using TM Pro. I'm just going to go ahead and just kind of get our staples in there. So let's start laying things out to see what we want to do here. Cat, yes, I see you. What are you doing? The other thing that I would really like to do here is I would like to have, as part of this loading screen, the title. I'd like to have just the title text quest kind of come in. It would be kind of cool to do it in ASCII art as well, instead of just a regular label. So that would give it a nice little like 3D effect. Kind of do it like those game guides on things like GameFAQs from back in the day, where they would have fancy ASCII art or not animation, but ASCII art for their title. So we'd do something like that. I'm gonna go ahead and show you what that would look like actually. Protext. While that's being created, I'm going to take a drink. That's all fine. All right. So, all right. What we would probably do here, I'm just going to call this title label. So obviously the name of our game is Text Quest, and that is typically going to be presented as one big thing like that. So I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this. We're just going to drag the original up. So we could do something pretty fun. Let's go ahead and single these out and say, let's just do 400 by 400. We're going to make this pretty bulky, obviously. So I'm going to try my best to do this. This is going to be very difficult. So I'm going to come up to here, come up to here. Oh boy, already running into problems. I am not an ASCII artist, so this is all kinds of problem. Let's see, so that would be the first part of our T. I guess that's definitely part of the problem is I need to shove everything over by one. And of course, we're just kind of trying to get it roughly into the correct spots for now. Man, all kinds of problems. Just to try and get this to look right. And, oh boy, does it not. Oops. I can cheat, I guess, and do something like this. Okay. So, as you can see, we already have problems. Probably chief among them is, oh, that's totally why. Because I need to do something like this. Oof, man. Hold on. So I'm just kind of like eyeballing this, trying to get this to look right. Man, this is super awkward. Oof. It looks so wrong. Oh, and it's so complicated. Well, that does not look right now, does it? Okay. So clearly that is not the right thing to do. I wonder if I could do this instead. Hold on. Something like that. That does work relatively well, except this should probably be over one. Cat, I see you. You are right there. All right, so we're going to move this U to here. We're going to underscore that. Oh man, all of the rich text tags to get this to look right. Yeah, we're going to be messing with kerning and all that stuff. Ooh, oh boy. I am a little concerned we might actually spend a lot of time just getting this label to look right. And I don't think I would be wrong. All right, so we're going to be looking at you. Really? Shoot. Well, that sucks. Okay. So we can't use underscores if there are no letters. to be used with it. So I have to do that, which automatically makes it look worse, which is not ideal. Can I make this an underscore? Yep, but only to hinder it a little bit. Okay. I need to remember what my rich text tags are. I believe we have SUP, which does that. That's not particularly helpful though. We have SUB. Yeah, that's also not particularly helpful. So we can do font size, but I need to do offsets, which is a little different. Let me check real quick. Not fonts, but rich text. I forget what tags there are. Okay, so we have a line, alpha, bold. We have character spacing, which is usually a pretty useful one. Indentation. Line height might be useful. Non-breaking spaces, page break, horizontal caret position, font size, horizontal space. Do we have vertical space? That would be very nice. Strike through an underline. Alright, whatever. I'm going to just drag this off to the side so I can look at it while I'm doing my adjustments. Cat, I see you. You want all of the attention in the world, and I cannot give it to you when I'm doing my Devstream. Okay, so with this, basically what we need to do is we need to bring this this text down to be touching the tops of these characters, which is going to require line height. Let's find out. Line height is equal to 1. Ooh, my goodness. Oops. There we are. Let's just kind of increase this. Okay, that's not doing much, which means that this actually needs to be here, and this needs to be here? Question mark? Okay, so this might not do anything if it's done on a one-line basis, which means that I actually want to move this up to here. Yep, that's what I want. Okay, so we're going to need to do that. Let's go ahead and say 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so 10, 20. Pretty useful so far. Boom. That is like almost perfect. Let's do 25, 22, just to be safe. Okay, this is going to be so hard. Oh, man. Just to get these things to line up properly is going to be a nightmare. Of all kinds. Yep. Oh, man, this is going to be fun. Yep. That's kind of what I was worried about, so we're just going to have to live with that. All right, so we need to slide our our third line here a little over to the left, which I believe is horizontal spacing, which means that I want to do space is equal to 1. If I make that 10, yeah, okay, so we're going to say negative 1, 10, yep, negative 10. Awesome. And for that, I believe we're going to want to do this. Oh, the space is just, really? It just lets me control it negatively. That's curious. So it lets me basically slide the entirety of this over by one, which itself is not ideal. Um, okay. That means that I need to go to here and say space equals -1. Just go ahead and say -5. -10. Yep, -10. Awesome. Let's try -6, 7, 8, 9. Yep, 10 is the one. Okay, and that means we need to have another space equals -10 here. And then you'll notice that we do have this gap in the background, which is not great. And then we also have to slide all of this over, which is fun. So I'm just going to copy this. Paste all that in there. Oh, man. And then we'll paste this in there. Wow, the amount of... Like, all of that was just for the T. Oh, man. Oh, man, why did I do this? Oh, why did I do this? This is going to be a very, very complicated label. Oof. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. All of this was just for one freaking thing. And it is going to only get more and more complicated as time goes on. Because I don't want to have separate labels for each of my letters. Because that could cause spacing problems. Wow, this is going to get way more complicated. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and set this to be a width of, I guess, an 800. Honestly, it doesn't really matter. So we're going to, oh shoot, actually, you know what? It might, oh, it does. Oh, it does. That's really problematic. So if it's not left aligned, oh man, that's garbage. Okay, that really complicates things. Then again, not really, I guess. Nope, nope, it does. It does. It does. Because this is my label, or this is my this is the texture I use for my build settings. And as you can see, it's vertically centered. Normally it's horizontally centered like this, but I would like to be able to use it like this, which means I have to have them centered, which means that I need to change this and center it. Boom. Which breaks things. So this is no longer going to be -10. It's probably going to be something like -5, I'm guessing. Okay, and that means that this is going to be like that, and yeah, that means that this is going to be -10 again. Oh no, this causes so many problems. Think, 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 think. Think. Shoot. I think I know what I can do here. So we're going to go ahead. I'm just going to have this be centered like that again. We're just going to add 1. Okay. Everything's good. There's our T. So we're going to go ahead and start on our second one, which is going to be terrible. You know what? I'm just going to cheat. I'm just going to do one letter per label, because if I do anything more than that per label, it is going to get so complicated that it's going to become quite difficult for me to do anything. So I'm going to go ahead and say text mesh pro text. We're just going to have this be our E. Let's go ahead and copy this. There's our 8-bit font. Everything's good here. Did I make that 36? I did. Cool. So this is going to be our E, which is Normally, as you can see, the benefit of having this font is that it's all boxy, so I can kind of get away with some stuff. So we're going to try to do, let's see. Here's our start. Something like this. Like that. Oof, which itself is going to actually complicate things because I need to basically do that. And then I have to do an underline, and then I need to immediately terminate said underline. So we can just get that. And oh boy, we are going to want that, which means that this all needs to shove over by one. And then we also need to do space. Space. If I could spell space, why can't I spell space? There we go, is equal to -10. Sure, why not? Oh my goodness, this is gonna give me an aneurysm, I'm sure. You're no fun. Okay, so we have that, and we have that, which itself is actually going to need to be something like that. Hold on. Oh. Something like that, roughly. Which itself really does not look good. That's because I didn't put the top on this one. Which means it's going to be something like this. Which means that this needs to no longer be spaces, but rather underlines. Okay. Oh, sorry. Here. Here's an underline. Okay. Which means that up here is where all of our spacing happens, which is not okay, and that means that I need to, oh right, we have to apply our vertical spacing again. So let's see, what was that? Line height is 22. Man, this is crazy complicated, having all this spacing going on. Also, my E is now way wider than my T was, which is problematic to say the least. I'm pretty sure I want to stop here. Okay. And I think that means I need this. Yep. Which gives me, again, a space of -10. Man, this is crazy complicated. Trying to get this all to play nice with each other. I really hate this. The gap in this verticality, it drives me insane. So the T looks good. The E is questionably shaping up. And wow. Because we basically have to do like that. Which means that we actually need to do like this. Oh man, why? Why are you not doing this? It's because you're too. Oh, it's because you're too short. That's why. Let's just make this as wide as we can for now. I'll make them smaller later. Oh boy. And because of that, we now realize we need this. Oof. That is tough. Which means I need a space is equal to -10 again. Oh my goodness. Okay. And then from here, I think actually right about here is where I want that to be, and that means this is going to have that. And nope, it's not going to have that yet. It's actually going to have another one of these because that's the side, and because it's not centered like that, I have to have a spacing thing. So space is equal to -10, I'm assuming. Ooh, no, 15. Ooh, 20. There we go. Okay. Um, Geez, this is just ridiculous. I really want to just not use my lowercase. I want to just use an uppercase. It would be so much easier. Maybe, maybe not. Man, ASCII art is very time consuming. I'm not sure if I should do this on air, honestly, because it's going to take me a long time. Okay, let's just try to get through text, and we'll see if we're. It's probably going to take us a long enough time. Okay, so we're going to start the next level of this, which I think is going to be. So our T was what? It was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It was 5. Our E is 1, 2, 3. I only have 2 spots left, and I'm reasonably sure that I'm not going to get that. So with a proper uppercase E, we could do 1, 2, 3. Okay, so I need to make my T bigger. So we're just going to copy this, paste that in there. That makes that a little bit easier to use. I am really kind of leaning towards just doing caps for this title because, good God, if anything is lowercase, it's going to be insane to try and do. So I'm just going to do caps. I will keep this E there as a reminder of what we were trying to do, but I am going to go ahead and start a new capital E. Capital E. Let's go ahead and single this out. All right. So for this, we're just going to go ahead and pretty much, I think we're going to steal most of what T was. Paste that in there. It's just that instead of having this part, we're going to just do some shifting around here. Like that. Okay. And then we're going to say U, and of course that means I'm going to have to space everything because I can't have nice things now, can I? Space that, followed by a space here, and that, which itself is very complicated again, now that I think about it, which is very frustrating. So this is actually going to be something like this. God, all the complication. So space is equal to 10. I'm basically cheating to get this to work properly. I feel bad about that. This is like a disrespect to the ASCII art, I feel. Dang it, of course not. Ugh. Why do you make my life so hard? It's even more annoying because there's. Okay, it's just because I needed that. Okay. Sorry, I'm kind of trying to think through how to properly present E. It's not very easy. In fact, it's almost impossible. Um, so if I don't have a character at the end here, I can't really. Oh, I guess I can just kind of cheat and do that, can't I? Yeah, that'll work. Okay. Let's go ahead and we're gonna do this and then this, and we're gonna go ahead and say space after all this fun stuff. So space and then space is equal to +10. We're gonna just cancel that. Oh wait, no, this one doesn't have anything. That's right. So let's go ahead and just do underscores followed by that, and we're gonna kind of cheat and just great. Um, hold on. Yes? Question mark? Oh, no. Yeah. Oh, man. Yep. Let's paste that in there. Let's paste this in there. I'm over reliant on these. I feel like they're useful, but I feel like they're really making me focus on the wrong things. Um, Also, am I too wide? No, it looks to be about the same. Hey, Josh, welcome back. How you doing tonight? We're currently working on ASCII art, but that might change real quick, just because of how long it's taking me to do this. Um, I am quite slow when it comes to doing ASCII art, apparently. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and do another space, then do this, then do that, with another positive space, like that. And it's pretty much the exact same as this, I believe. So we're just going to kind of copy and paste that. Basically that. And then our last one is basically going to be this, if I am correct. Just instead of having a space, we're going to have another one of these, like that. Which I think works. Ugh. It's a little rough though. I really don't like that. Like the backs of the E's aren't shown, and we have huge gaps here, and that's not ideal for me. I don't think. Good. I'm currently watching from mobile because I'm installing Ubuntu. Ooh, fancy. Are you even more fancy and installing the like up-to-date developer builds? Or are you being a smart person and actually going like one or two versions back so that you know it's stable? Okay, so I am I'm reasonably confident. I am reasonably confident that I can get this finished, but I don't think I'm going to focus on the ASCII art on the Devstream right now, just because it's taken me what half an hour to do two letters, which is not very interesting, especially when you have situations like this where I would like to have a there's just a lot of things that I would like to do, and I feel like I'm kind of betraying the spirit of what it means to do ASCII art by cheating and using so many adjustments to TextMesh Pro. I'd like to just use regular ASCII art as much as possible. Um, but I mean, at the very least, we can get a T and an E out of this. But oh boy, just imagine what X and I guess another T wouldn't be that bad, and then Quest would be. So I'm using the minimal build, 50 megabyte ISO. Woo! Oh, you got a hard drive big enough for that? That's it's a little much. Installs from Wi-Fi. Really? You didn't have to create like a virtual ISO on a thumb drive. You could just do it from Wi-Fi. That's interesting. Uh, all right, so this is our title, but for now, I'm just going to go ahead and turn all that off. So I'm going to group this all under the generic object called title. I'm just going to move these things underneath that. We're going to turn that off. All right, so let's go ahead and say create UI TextMesh Pro text. Let's give it our 8-bit font. Make this whatever. We'll call it hero. All right. So there is our hero character. Let's go ahead and just call that our hero label. Okay. And again, we need to make sure that our pivot is set up correctly. And let's set our height to be, I think it was like 200 something with a width of 50 or so. We'll go ahead and have that be centered, have that be lowered. Okay, 150. That's good. So that is our hero, and we are going to have them. I think what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to make this be a vertical momentum, like a vertical motion. So instead of having it show the character from the side, like most of our screens do, I would like to have this one be from behind. So we'll see them traveling up a path, kind of right about here. It's going to be, oh man, geez, so complicated. Anytime I try to think of a bridge to design for this, to have them walking over, it's just so many fine details that are going to drive me insane. I really would rather not deal with that. Um, thinking. Hmm. Let's see. No, you have to burn the ISO on the USB stick and boot into it. Okay, I was gonna say like that's the standard operating procedure for something like that. I was a little concerned that it was just like doing it directly over Wi-Fi, and I'm like, I have no idea how that works. Um, okay, so let's go ahead. I'm gonna create a new text mesh pro label. Make this be our 8-bit font. And this is going to be a little different. Bridge label. Okay. So I'm going to have this scale. And I'm pretty confident. Actually, you know what? No. Well, so I could cheat and not have this scale. It's going to be like that. Um, but we probably want to double its size just for convenience. Maybe not double. I could probably get away with like. Maybe not. Well, so so that we can do that because width is really the only thing that needs to change here. I'm gonna have this be parented to the bottom, and I am gonna have it be positioned to the left still, I guess. So basically, what I'm going to be trying to do is I'm going to be trying to create a bridge from. No, no. If I want it to be vertical, I can't do it from the side. Man, this is super difficult to do. I'm trying to think of how to do this in the most satisfying way possible, and honestly, I don't know if I can if I go vertical. I'm getting ready to press the button. That's the moment of truth. Are you installing it over a previous version of Ubuntu that you have, or are you doing a clean boot from something that was originally a Windows device or even a Mac, I guess? Um, so So I could have this basically be similar to our Plains to Canyon one, where we have the hero walking left to right along a bridge, and I'm kind of leaning towards that just because that lets me have the castle in the background, and I can have the title screen show up at the top here. But I really don't want to do that because it's very similar to our existing animation, uh, and that one is really good, and I don't want to undo that work. So I am torn. Installing over Windows. Okay. Yeah, I probably should do or install another distro of Linux onto my laptop. Um, but that would take time. Plus, I would have to isolate a certain amount of file size or a certain amount of my hard drive, and I only have like 256 on my Mac laptop. So, okay. I am super torn about this. Ugh. Maybe it was a mistake to try and think I could freehand this. Well, mistake is a strong word. I mean, it was a mistake, obviously. But I mean, I could freehand this, but it's just going to take me so long to do ASCII art. I really shouldn't have done that like this on stream. Because everything else is very. All of our other loading screens so far have been fairly simple, and this one, since it doubles as like a soft title screen, is kind of complex. But I don't want to do that. I feel like that's not a good idea. Okay. Um, Let me think. Although it's minimal, I just saw it install Python. Like the Linux distro installed Python? That's weird. Why would it have Python installed on it already? Huh. All right. Anyway, so my original idea for this bridge was basically to do something like, um, kind of something grand in scale. Think like, I'm just gonna cheat right now before I move everything up. Think something like this. Because I was gonna try to do something complicated, where I have at some point something like this. This is obviously going to look dumb to start, but the original idea was basically to have. Hold on. Something like this, where we have like archways kind of showing up. And I do like that idea. I like the idea of having arches. But it complicates. You know what? Actually, that's not too bad. Um, like I was concerned that it wouldn't look good enough with something like this, but that really doesn't look terrible from the sides to make it look like it's a bridge. Now it's not perfect because if we want it to look right, we're gonna have to do something like this. We have to make sure our perspective looks correct, which would be somewhat difficult. Let's see. I think we're actually looking at something like this. So we would want something like this. And then we're gonna do this, like, just to make this look right. Um, oh man, super complicated. Because I would like to ideally do something like this. Probably would be blue actually, because that's kind of the color that I went with for the castle. So something like this, which we will. I'm just gonna go ahead and copy for our label. For the like path that the hero would walk along. Something like that. Um, and then we would need this structure on the other side as well, which actually, now that I think about it, is probably worth doing something like this. Something like that. Except that really confuses the architectural, because, yeah. Let's see. Uh, yeah. Do I have an iPhone or an iPhone? iOS 11.4 jailbreak just came out yesterday. iOS 12 jailbreak is coming very soon. I do use an iPhone. I do not jailbreak it because I use it for development purposes, and I want to make sure that that stuff's all kind of above board whenever if I ever have to send apps in, or if I ever have to like test apps. I want to make sure that my phone is kind of up to what the standard consumer is going to be using. So I just don't. I typically don't jailbreak my phones. That is pretty cool though. They have a new jailbreak coming out. Then again, it's been on iOS 12 for quite a while now, hasn't it? I'm surprised it took them so long. Um, let's see here. So if we do things like this, I'm probably going to want to have like a little torch in here somewhere. I don't know, probably something like this. Oh man, let's see if I can do this. You suck. You suck so hard. Something like this. Dang it. Of course I can't center it because I didn't make it a centerable thing. Okay. I'm getting too bogged down in the details here. Losing the forest from the trees. Um, so, if we did this kind of side-on view, it would be similar to what we've already done, which is our 2D, like 3/4 isometric almost view. Uh, Jailbreaks take ages to make now compared to a few years ago, but 3 exploits and 2 jailbreaks came out in 2 days. I guess that kind of makes sense. From what I understand of the jailbreak community, once a single security flaw has, or once a single flaw has kind of been identified, then all sorts of new things can be done just with that one flaw. So I'm gonna go ahead and do this. So yeah, I don't want to do this side-on view because it'll invalidate our canyon one. I don't want to do that, which is interesting because that means that we're gonna have a vertical scrolling bridge, but we don't have a ton of vertical real estate, which is going to make this interesting. Okay, I think I know what I can do here. So I'm going to go ahead and keep that. I'm going to go ahead and make a different label. Single this out. Make this vertical instead of horizontal. Go ahead and get rid of this. Let's turn this on. Um, so this one is going to be kind of different in the sense that it's going to be stretched horizontally, but have a slightly higher height than normal. I'm going to just make it like an even 1,000. I think that'll probably be enough. And I'm also going to go ahead and center my text here. I think that will be fine. Okay, so we're going to have this, which I will, for the sake of argument, just do this so that I can see all of my text to start. It's mainly because of the Apple Bounty thing. Bounty thing? I don't think I've seen that. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to have our vertical lines. We're going to separate these by a set amount. I think this is actually a pretty good spot for them. Let me think. No, this is fine. So this is about as wide as I want to get. That's not believable. Something like that. Let's give it one more space each. So something more like this, which is going to suck because it's going to require a lot of this. A lot of that. So this is essentially going to be the same thing we do every line. So if we do something like this, we're going to copy this, paste, 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 paste. But you can see that we do have a pretty good straightforward vertical design here, but now we need to add some variety on the sides, I think, just to make it more interesting to look at, and to make it a little bit more obvious what you're looking at. Um, because we want it to imply that you're going forward, like you're going away from the screen, kind of, not that you're just vertically ascending into the sky, which is what it kind of would look like. So to accomplish that, we're going to have to get some isometric view in here, which I think we'll be able to do like this. What the frick? Oh, that's fine, yeah. So we're going to want to do something like this, I believe. So we're going to space these out, something like that. Let's go ahead and do this, like that. It might be okay if we just make them one thing wide. That's not too bad, actually. It does. It's not super noticeable though, so I probably should do something more like. Um, Geez, how do I want to do this? Like this, I guess. Which that sucks because it means I have to like blow everything apart. Um, It'd basically be something like that. So instead of having it be directly underneath it, we would do something like that, which pushes these to there and pushes that to there. And then has that happen, which means that this is going to happen now. Something like that. So that becomes a little bit more noticeable, but it's still not a great look. And by a great look, I mean it's not. So, in order for this to look correct, I'm going to have to do something like this. We're going to go ahead and get rid of this. Really? I just needed to get rid of one? That seems wrong, but okay. No, I'm going to have to do this too. Sorry, I'm kind of figuring this out in real time. Let's go ahead and come back over here, do like that. Okay. This is all kinds of weird and hard. Um, okay. Nope. Nope. We want it to be like that. And like that. I'm going to focus on the left side for now. If I can get that to look right, then I think we'll be good. So we're going to do that, and then we're going to get rid of this, which means that I then have to do this. Oh, you suck. That's such a terrible line. Why didn't you give me the full carrot? Ah, yeah. You're such a dick. Okay. So my goal was to basically make this look like you're seeing the inside lip of the parapet on the side of the bridge, but that obviously doesn't look like that. So crud. Those structures might be too complicated, which is not a good thing. What to do here? Okay. This might be too. I might need to have to. I might need to sketch up some designs for this. I feel like I'm not really getting anywhere um, doing this on air. It just feels like I'm kind of going around in circles, trying to get something that sticks, but I can't really make that look right. I think part of the problem is that I was trying to Well, you know what? Maybe I can address it by doing this. Maybe this might actually work. So we would want to do something like this. Ooh, wrong thing. So, like that, which is not at all awkward now, is it? Basically making it look like it's actually 3D the entire time, but that also raises problems because I need to do something like that. It just comes off not looking 3D. It comes off looking terrible. Um, hmm. Welcome back. Have not made a ton of progress. Kind of just waxing philosophical about how it's not quite how I would like it to be. Is there more above this? There is. Okay. So like, this just doesn't look 3D. It doesn't look like a 3D image. Not like any of the ones before really did, but when I try to do 3D, it's the title screen loading screen, so I kind of like it to look cool. But maybe I'm overcomplicating this. Maybe I should just keep it simple. Um, but I would like it to. I'd like it to be obvious that it's a bridge, and I just don't think that people will get that um, without some amount of complexity to it to making it look impressive. You are going to a castle, it should be cool. Um, I just can't quite get the design right on this bridge. So so I know it's a little early because it's only 8:30. I feel especially bad because you just got back, Josh. Um, but I might end the stream a little early and do research on various castle bridges because I'd like to have a realistic looking castle bridge. So I want one that's stone, not one that's wood or anything like that. I want it to be kind of like an opulent piece of architecture. Uh, but I can't really think of a good way to present it right now because I don't. I think the problem there is that I don't have a good fundamental grasp on what I want it to look like. So it ends up looking like a jumbled mess because I just don't know what I want it to look like in my head yet. Um, so I so I'm gonna say that I'm gonna end the stream a little early today, and I'm gonna do some research on this. I'm gonna see if I can find anything that really resembles what I'm trying to do, both within the real world and within fiction. See if I can get some nice castle architecture from I don't know, from movies. We'll see. So yeah, I feel bad about ending the stream there, but at least we got one of our animations done. We do have the sewer to the plains loading animation looking pretty good, but yeah, this castle loading screen is going to be a little complicated just because I want it to also double as like a soft title screen, kind of. Um, and that's going to be difficult. I think my idea for the long run, just to give you a sense of what I'm planning, is I want to move the road to be on this side, not in the center, and then we'll have the title kind of like come down from the top here and just kind of rest over here. We might flip that so that the hero moves over to the left and then our title screen is over to the right because I think that might read a little bit better. But actually no, because I need to have this press any key to continue be visible. So yeah, we'll probably keep the bridge over on the right, and then our title screen over here, and then that'll be it. So yeah, I'm not going to say that's a pretty good place to stop for the night because it kind of isn't, but I am going to say that is a stopping point for the night. Um, Before I sign off, announcements. I will not be doing a stream this weekend because I have a friend coming into town, and I'm going to be busy all weekend. So we should be on track. Oh, no, no, no. So next Tuesday, I will also not be doing my dev stream because I have a local game development or game developer meetup that I'm going to be going to on Tuesday. But I should be good for next Thursday and next Saturday. So basically, that means the next two dev streams I'm not going to be able to do because of schedule conflicts, but then I should be back on track after that. So, yeah. I think that's pretty much all I had for announcements. I think everything else should kind of fall into place. So, all right. Yeah, we're going to call it a night there. So, as always, I want to thank you all very much for watching, and I will see you all next time.